Now I've got all of the style that I want on the A links and on the button. And so now let's go ahead and work on how we turn this into a drop down. And so what we're going to do, just to give you an outline, is we're going to make this content hidden. And it's going to be hidden until we hover over the button. So that's what we want to do. So we're going to come back and we're working. Here we go. I'm going to go work up here in the area where we're all in the mobile first up here. One of the first things we need to do is to get the position set the way that we want it. And to do that, we are going to use those divs that we identified. This drop-down div and this drop-down content div, and we're going to set position on them. What we want so let's go ahead and add style blocks for those. So this is in the nav, in the drop-down. And I'm going to need one for the drop-down content as well. So I'm going to say inside the nav in the class drop-down content is where I want to put these. And I want the position to be absolute on this one. But what we remember about absolute is that it is positioned based on the ancestor that has a position set. And so we want to go to its nearest ancestor, which is the drop down, and we want to set the position on this one. And we're just going to set it to relative because we have to set it to something, and that's the one that will make it set and not make any changes, right? If we don't add the top, left, right, or bottom. And so now we draw the content. We're setting this content div to absolute, and we're setting its ancestor, its most close ancestor, to relative. So let's see what that does for us. And there it drops it the way we expect it. So this is really the layout that we want, right? That we want that layout when that menu to be under there when we drop it. Okay, so this is looking good so far, right? So now we want this to be not visible when we first open the page, right? We only want it to be visible when it hovers. So I'm going to go down here to the drop-down content, and I'm going to put the display none. And if I save that and go back, it's gone. So we don't see it. And now we want to change that display, but we only want to change it on hover. And it's when we actually hover over this, right? And remember that what this is that drop down, right? It's that whole drop down div. So I'm going to say, and pay attention, this is a little tricky. So I'm going to say inside the nav, I have the drop down. Oops, I have to spell it right. And I want to do it when this is being hovered over. And when that's being hovered inside that drop-down hover, there is a drop-down content. And that's what I want to change. I have to be changing it on the drop-down content class, but it's when the drop-down is being hovered over. So you need both of those in the style. And then I'm going to change the display to visible. Well, actually, I'm going to change it to block because that's what I want it to be. All right, now notice when we're not hovering, nothing changes. But now if we go over and hover, it's visible. It's been there the whole time. It's positioned absolute, so it's there all the time. But we set the display to none, and then we changed the display to block. And it's only when we hover. So whenever we hover, those other links show up. There, that's looking great. That's just what we need then for this drop-down menu to work.